Come on. This is what it's giving you. So people have been asking me to break this down, and it's stuff that, like I said, I always think people understand these things and a lot of people don't, but it's so much to it. And I want people to come into that understanding, which you heard people say this before, but it's never really been broken down in this way. But I want you to understand what Genesis is giving you in the beginning is the creation of us alongside the creation of the planet. But you would have to think that we would have to exist. Something would have to exist because things don't make sense the way it's being explained in the Bible, as far as, you're talking as if these things already exist. You're talking about, let us make animals. What's an animal? As if an animal exists. Beast. What the hell is a beast? You just invented beast. So like as if beasts already exist. And it's called critical thinking. You got to think that way. Let us make man in our image after our likeness. What is man? You're saying it as if man already existed. What is man? Let us make man. Who are you talking about? Who are you talking to? What is man? So you understand, remember, this is being written and told to you esoterically, and you got to know how to break it down. So again, we're going through this stage of development, this, impregnation, you might as well say. We're going through this whole conception and this whole development into what we are, men, man, woman. And it's giving you that creation story. So boom, man can be woman, male, or female. And God formed man. 2 and 7 again, that's that 9. It's giving you 9 again, just to reiterate that it's talking about man. So then we have Genesis 27, God created man. Genesis 2:7, which also give you Genesis 2, chapter 2, verse 7, right? 227, right? Which 227, as you guys know, is a very esoteric number. It's called an angel number, but it has to do with everything we just been talking about, right? But understand, keep in mind that Genesis 2 and 7, that 9, and it's creating Adam right there and giving you this understanding. Now, it's very confusing. There's a lot of ways you can look at it. You can understand the different ways that it's breaking down, creation, creating the soul, the masculine and feminine energies, male and female created he, them, in the image of God, which is our true essence. I've talked about this whole thing before, but it's also giving you the physical creation as well, with it breaking down, esoterically, the physical functioning that's basically going to happen, that whole process of creation. So this is what we're seeing in Genesis 1 and over to Genesis 2 when it's getting more into the materialistic part of it with this whole creation. So it's real deep to get into and to understand. And through this process, you understand it and you keep it in mind. We're talking about beginning with this melanin, this image of God, this energy of God, right? This melanin explosion, this explosion of zinc, they call it. And it is the beginning of the creation of us. It's what sparks it all. It's what begins the process that leads up to our creation. So it's very important to understand this and understanding why melanin is important and how melanin came into existence, into the world to create us. And everything begins with that. Showed you guys with Dr. Karl Marat and Chagas when he was showing you guys the embryo and how the eye was completely full of melanin. He was breaking down this whole process of our creation and how much melanin is involved in that process and developing this, this healthy, stable embryo.
Of an embryo inside a mother. It's a very tiny little thing. Notice that the eye is pure melanin. That's an amazing picture, isn't it? To see all this melanin is inside, and when the embryo first forms, there is what's called the dark streak. It's all melanin.
So that video is a deep video. Dr. Karl Marat basically breaking down, the importance of melanin, having that abundance of melanin and how it plays a role in our development. And this is why we see so many birth defects and why white people have a problem with conception, why they have a problem with birth, because that process largely depends on having this abundance of melanin, which is going to be clear later on as we get more into this thing. But it's important to understand and see why this is important and how it's giving you this beginning creation and how melanin is playing a role and leading up to what's taking place. And the more you begin to understand about melanin and what it does, the power of it, you see how it's possible for all this to be, done. And they try to downplay it in so many aspects of when you research in melanin about what it is. But I mean, ever since the 60s, 70s, when they really started to understand the power of melanin and how it can be used and how it can conduct energy, and how the big thing we're going to get into, how you can basically manipulate frequencies and get into frequencies with melanin or what have you. Once they begin to see this is how they've been just trying to manipulate it. Synthetic melanin everywhere, melanin everything. And remember, melanin is found throughout the world. It's in, so many different things, but obviously it's different with us, the originals, something unique about us and our melanin that they understand. And this has to deal with the human aspect of it, and not just looking at it as, there's melanin in animals and this has melanin. It's not the same, just like we're not the same. So it's important, but it's really important to understand what Genesis is giving you in that creation story. It is the creation of us, and getting you to understand that when you think about it esoterically, God creating, it's the same. It's still saying that you are God. And it brings everything back to the garden when you start to understand what the serpent is talk about, which we'll get into. So this goes with, John 3, when Jesus is talking to Nicodemus. And Nicodemus basically just saying to Jesus, like, dude, there's no way you can do all these miracles unless God is with you. And Jesus is basically saying, completely to me, not really answering the question. He's talking about, well, nobody can see the kingdom of God unless you're born again. And Nicodemus is like, well, how can a grown man be born again, basically, right? So John 3:4, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. And Nicodemus says, how can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter his mother's womb the second time and be born? And Jesus says, except a man be, he reiterates, except a man be born of water. Well, we just talked about those embryonic fluids, what have you, the cul-de-sac fluid. Be born of water and spirit. That spirit would be that spark, that zinc, that melanin, that energy. He cannot enter into the kingdom of God. Another part that's important in John 3:13, where it says, and no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that come down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is in heaven. So what is it talking about? Think about it. That's deep. That's deep when you really get into it. So it's like only a person that came from heaven, right, can ascend to heaven. Even Son of Man, which is in heaven. Think about it. What could it be talking about? It's talking about consciousness right there, right? So you're coming from consciousness into this physical form, and then you're going to die and go back. But that's where you came from. But when you start to really esoterically bring all this stuff together, it's giving you that consciousness creating this energy, and energy creating us, right? The elements or what have you. But going back to John 13, when it's talking about, Son of Man being in heaven, you read 14 and it basically contradicts. It says, and as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, right? But 13 said, the Son of Man, which is in heaven. 14 is saying, and the Son of Man must be lifted up. What is it talking about? So it's giving you, when you understand, it's all one, right? It's all one and the same. You have God, which is in heaven. You have Jesus, which represents your consciousness, and you have your physical self, right? So, the Son of Man, which is in heaven, right? And then so shall the Son of Man must be lifted up. That would be you. Still, it's all one and the same. And when you begin to understand that, you understand what it's actually talking about. And it's not separate people. We have the whole thing, the whole argument with Rome and all these other theologians and, religious people, trying to separate Jesus and God, say they're two different beings and God is, different. People saying that God operates outside the universe. That was when I was like, okay, well, then he don't exist. He's outside the universe and he's in space and time and all this crazy. It's all you. It's telling you, letting you know this is all still you. You are it. You came here, and when you come here, you shed everything, all memory, everything. This is a risk that we all agreed to take. None of us is here, by happenstance. We are part of this universal consciousness that came here for a reason, and we know why we're here. You have accumulated so many different experiences in your lives, and this is just another one of them. And when you go, you take this one with you. Your all powerful subconscious, which they call God knows everything. And you got to understand, when it's talking about a plan and everything is done for a reason, so on and so forth, you got to literally think about it. And this is how you can tell, right? Because it's a symbiotic relationship. And I broke this down before, I believe, between the soul and the body. And the soul understand I cannot exist here without the body, right? And you will want the soul, right? The soul will want to be, doing what it wants to do. If you have this agenda and this plan and it's just this, what we're here to do that the subconscious understands, dude, tell it to me. Let me hit the lotto so I can make our life easier. Everything that was or ever will be, all this information, give it to me so I can go. But it's like, no, you have to have these experiences. This must happen. We need this to move forward. We need to come here and get this experience and this knowledge to move forward. This is what we're here to do. You think we're here to just party and bullshit or whatever you think. You think you're here to be a teacher or a cop or what have you. No, we're back here for one reason. And what I'm doing right now and the life that you're leading is I'm trying to put you into that path so you can get that, what we need to get before we get out of here. And you never know. And it could be anything. People getting hit by a bus and plane crashes, all kinds of shit. Your subconscious looking at the equation and saying, you know what? No matter what happened, I've already calculated this guy, this girl, this child is not going to fulfill what we needed to fulfill on this trajectory, right? Because of this child's parents, because of this person's spouse, boss, brother, sister, neighbor, whatever it is. They have set themselves on a course to destruction that's just going to lead to me wasting my fucking time. So let this motherfucker get hit by a stray bullet or a bus or die in a plane crash, whatever the situation may be. And that's how you have to look at it. No matter how crazy it may sound to you, you got to understand that you have to be paying attention to your all-powerful consciousness. That's what meditation is about. I told you guys, when you're seeing 9/11, when you're seeing those numbers, it's communicating with you, letting you know, nigga, you on the right path. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're going in the right direction. Let's keep it going. Because soon as you slip up and you get out of that path, or you start going in a direction you're not supposed to be going to, and I can calculate that we're never going to arrive to get what we need, guess what? I'm getting you out of here. And I'm going to start all over again, because this path that you have taken is not going to lead to us getting what we need in this incarnation, right? So understand it in that way. That is so deep and so profound that you have this God. But I was telling you, God, he says, I'll always be with you to the end of time. That's your consciousness, your subconscious. I will always be with you. And it's telling you this profoundly in the Bible. God knows all, right? So you have to understand there are rules, as I always tell you guys, and that this whole breakdown and us being here and what we're doing is contingent on those rules. I can't just tell you. You have to get there. You have to follow. There is rules. And even though I'm God and all powerful, what have you, I can't break the rules or else it's not going to be done correctly, right? So you have to understand, it sounds so crazy, which is why the story of Jesus makes sense in that aspect when you think about it and you say, well, wait a minute. God, he fucking put his son here to bypass a loophole that he's in charge of, that he created, right? It don't make sense. So let me get this straight. You brought me here to be tortured, crucified, and die, to basically bypass a loophole that you created, right? This whole sins thing. Why can't you just, you the man, you own the club, bro. Let me in. No, I can't let you in. You ain't paid like everybody else. There's rules, but you own the club. Let me in. There are rules. So when you begin to understand this and begin to look at things differently, understand, why things are a certain way and how karma and this energy plays a vital role in everything that we do. And all this stuff is all attached, right? But I know somebody's going to say, oh, what does melanin have to do with all this? Everything. We're going to get into it because it leads into where we're headed and what this is all about.